Dang, girl. That's probably the best I've heard.
It only took 3 times.
Awesome. Just for good measure. Nice. Welcome to Earthlight Cafe Podcast. I'm Sienna.
And I'm Senna.
And we are going to be talking about polarity, divisiveness, and unity consciousness. So a lot. But this gal, Senna here, has compressed it all into some beautiful writing. So you're going to be seeing us look down a lot. So I think you should begin.
Okay, yeah, certainly. Yeah, so right now it's December 2nd. We actually had done a podcast about a few days ago, and we found that this topic is quite a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We had originally made a recording, and we kind of went on for about an hour and a half, and very quickly realized that
we were going nowhere.
We're talking about polarity, and particularly kind of threw us into like a polarity experience where we weren't really on the same page, and it's also just a very esoteric topic. And so anyway, lots of exciting energies have been happening this past week. We had a lunar eclipse. Sunday through Monday, full moon, and I definitely felt some really, really intense effects, some major shifts in my being, a lot of downloads, a lot of sleep, needing to sleep for days.
Dude, yeah.
So much shaken up. A lot within me, within my soul, had to be brought to my attention to heal as we're going into this eclipse portal, as we're
3 eclipses in 1 month.
And we have solstice coming up, and just another beginning of a cycle. Major transformation has been happening for individuals and the collective, and exciting times to really
exciting, intense, whatever way you want to look at it. It's all around.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, exciting times in regards to if you made some conscious choices to be able to take the time for yourself and to really sit into those emotions and things that have been stirring up within you, letting stuff go, and really, like a phoenix from the ashes, dying and withering away, and then being reborn, transformation of reclaiming your spirit, reclaiming who you are, and moving forward, throwing a bomb behind you, setting it all on fire, ablaze.
That's right. Yeah.
We're both Leos, so we're both feeling this very, very hot right now. Other signs might be experiencing things differently.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that we had to kind of settle back down and ground, and a lot's been on my mind about this particular topic. We had been noticing and observing within ourselves and the collective last month, as we had our in the United States, our election, that there has been so much divisiveness in our country, and it really globally too, and what we really want to discuss and talk about is, from a global scale, from a collective scale, and from your unique individual experience, what divisiveness means, and then also clarifying the difference between polarity and divisiveness. Does that sound like a pretty
It sounds like, 12 hours of really deep talk cut into 1 hour.
Yeah, here we go.
So you're welcome. Yes. Yeah.
Sienna and I talk a lot throughout the month. We see each other regularly, and we've had a lot of these conversations around our findings and observations, and I'm just really excited to dive in deep with you today.
Yeah. So just to give a quick update about my mentality, I am, especially since the eclipse, like, I have felt so heavy mentally, very heavy. Like, my third eye wrapped around my head, and it's funny because as we're sitting here doing this, it's starting to happen again. It's getting heavier again. It's wrapped around my head. It just feels like weight, and it makes it very hard to talk. So if I'm not as talkative, and Senna is this time, that's why. But yes, divisiveness. So the reason why this topic came up that we're having to define between the two is because when we tried to do the podcast before, they all kind of meshed together. And I did want to mention just one quick thing that I think is kind of interesting that you had said last time that nobody gets to hear now, is that you were like, it's funny, we're speaking about polarity and we're getting more like divided, like we're getting more confused by each other. And I think that speaking about something can really affect your brain. I mean, even in science, like if you speak something over and over and over again, if you speak a word over and over and over again, then you are going to project it. So us speaking about it, even though we were just trying to define it, it just turned out to be this thing where we were just on totally 2 different pages. And I just think that's really interesting.
Definitely.
That, like, our words are power. Our words are such power.
They totally are.
Yeah. And so I think that that's another thing, like in news and stuff, that when people are, or just in general and in social media and stuff, like when we are speaking and we're like, oh, we're so divided. Oh, like everybody's such polarity. There's so much polarity. We're so divided. When people speak those things, when you're sharing those things on social media and on the news and everything like that, you're just affirming this crap. You're just continuing to perpetuate divisiveness and polarity, you know? And it's like, if we really want change, we need to start speaking in unionship and oneness. Instead of saying, I am not divided, say, I am one. I am community. I am together with you. That's, it's important.
You're totally like spoil alerting the end.
I'm sorry.
No,
didn't even mean to.
No, that's fantastic. I never want to stop you when you're on a roll. But continue with your check-in on how else you're doing mentally and emotionally, physically, and this past week.
Okay. I'm sure you're trying to point out something, but I'm having a hard time. I feel like I'm getting really tired from it, and as well, I'm in the same boat as you. I've just felt a lot of tiredness. My dreams, last month, were out of control.
Word.
I had one dream that I told Senna, and she just stared at me and like trying to compute about like there were whales and lions and snakes, and I was speaking to whales like psychologically or telepathically. And I feel like this is all really part of the transformation that's going on in our momentum into this new month. We're having a lot of change and uncomfortableness and heaviness so that we can shed what no longer serves us, which is really hard. And I have a feeling, and I haven't told you this yet, I have a feeling that whatever it is that I'm supposed to be shedding, I have suppressed that stuff real deep because I can't tell you what it is, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel the heaviness of it. I can feel the anxiety of it. I can feel the fear of letting it go, which is really funny because don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So that's why shadow work's always important, just because you gotta dive deep into that stuff so you can let it go, because you don't want it to continue on into your next chapter. So that's what I've been processing.
I've also been meaning to share this. I saw the other night this video of just a beautiful, radiant star being that was sharing her experience of some of her transformation, and she was in Shavasana and yoga, and a song came on, and it was called "You Can't Rush Your Healing." And I checked out the song afterward. Gorgeous song.
Yeah.
I think it's Trevor Hill. Don't quote me. I'll put it down in the notes in the description. But beautiful song. Essentially, yeah, you can't rush your healing, and darkness is a teacher too, and to listen to his lesson. Beautiful. So
thank you.
Yeah, we were making a joke the other day because
still good.
We're personal development, spiritual development junkies. Like when we get triggered, we're like, oh yeah, oh, feel it. I'm about to heal. I'm about to break through. I'm about to learn so much stuff. I'm about to level up.
Oh, it's so real. I feel like anybody that gets it will just laugh at that. So yeah, it's
totally
truth.
Totally. But I say that just as a gentle reminder for myself too, that because I find myself when I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm like, cleanse it, clear, deprogram it, cleanse it, go, deprogram it.
What is it?
And I'm like, well, no, hold up. Like sometimes I'm like, this is being consistent.
Yeah.
Ooh, I had a dream last week, and it was actually funny because my twin flame came to me in this dream, and he was looking me dead in the eyes, and he said, when the universe is showing you something over and over, pay attention to it.
So simple. So real.
Yeah. So yeah, just naming that we can't rush our healing. Our soul's gonna take as much as we want to. Yeah, it's this uncomfortableness, and it's like that reminder of like it's okay. It's okay to just not be okay.
Yeah.
And I keep getting the Osiris God of Transformation card whenever I pull from your deck, and he reminds me that, if you need to feel sad, if you need to wrap yourself up in a blanket and just retreat and just go into those emotions, you're doing an amazing job with letting things die away, transform into something new.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Okay.
So, no, great segue, actually. So, polarity. Yeah, I wanted to... Let's talk about polarity. So, polarity... let's see it as the positive, negative. Positive, negative attributes coexist. It's a universal law. It's universal law. We have both. We are both.
Yep.
They're both forces that perpetuate and create the moving force of our evolution. They are the forces that perpetuate and move our evolution. So we can see polarity, as a rhythm. We each have our own individual rhythms of these ups and downs.
Which you hold in your heart, by the way.
And you dictate the rhythm too. From the frequency that you speak, from the words that you share, from what you truly mentally believe and create into the world. And so based on your frequency too, you can have, a more denser rhythm where you have a longer wavelength. Then you take, it could be a 6-month rhythm of a down and an up. And then you can have really, really, really high, and so then you have peaks and then valleys really quickly. And that can be a lot.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, be very overwhelming. So, yeah, your rhythm can be very, finding that centered place, finding that balance, and aligning your thoughts and your words and your actions. There is a more gentle, fluid balance 2 weeks or whatever of your ups and downs, and
whatever yours is,
and whatever yours is, whatever you're meant to experience is divinely perfect.
Yeah.
And so polarity, I also think about in like a circle, and so you have like your positive and negative force of being able to create these cycles of life, and that's what we are. We are cyclical beings. Like we experience our seasons, between each solstice and equinox. We have these momentous changes, and where we get to experience rebirth, growth, death, transformation. I'm making stuff up. Am I right?
I think it's close to that.
Something like that.
It's birth, growth, integration, transformation.
Integration.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And transcend, actually, like transcend.
Yeah.
Because that's life. And I do want to like reiterate again that you can actually like begin to, if you really start to pay attention to your cycles, and I'm not talking menstrual cycle, I'm talking those positive and negative cycles in your life, you can almost start to like point out, oh, I see where I am in the circle right now. Like I can feel myself like in specific places in my life, in specific topics in my life that I need to learn a lesson about. I can actually feel myself starting to like make it to the end of that cycle, or like just begin a new one. So my cycle though is my soul's, I believe, is my soul's like choice. So like my soul chose to have this length of a cycle in this 3D realm where we have a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But your cycle of maybe this, even the same lesson, may be longer or shorter than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's so important not to compare yourself ever to anybody else. Totally. And I mean, that wording gets thrown around a lot, but if you think about it more in like life lesson perspective, it has an even deeper meaning to it.
Yeah.
Because if you try to speed up to go compare yourself to the other person learning the same lesson, then you're gonna speed it up and you're not gonna actually learn everything you were supposed to, and then you'll have to do the lesson again probably in like the exact same way. So taking that time to reflect on yourself and be like, okay, where am I at? And like accepting it. And I'm saying this for myself too, because obviously it's really difficult when you're in the slumps of it all to accept where you're at and be there. So
certainly.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I did a journal writing the other day where it was just like figure out what your needs and what makes you like comforts are in those times when you go to retreat, or in those times where it feels uncomfortable, or whatever. And and there's something that's really beautiful about like really honoring that space, like letting it be as it is. And maybe it's like a cup of tea, or maybe it's a bath, or maybe it's talking with a friend, maybe it's going out for a walk, maybe it's like dropping your kid off at their dad's house for 2 days and being in complete silence and like turning off your phone. That's me. That was my Friday, Saturday.
Which I'm envious of. You're really, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, when I'm gone in Arizona, you can take my house.
Oh, yes, I'm doing that.
Okay, there you go. Take 2 days off.
Nice.
Yeah, so one thing that came through to me as you were speaking was, so I described polarity as a wave up and down, but then I also described it as a circle. But really, if you think of a spiral, spiraling, up, it depends on which way you look at it. From above, it looks like circle of a cycle completing, and then also from the side, it looks like that wavelength.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank
you, calculus.
Look at that. She did it.
So, kind of transitioning into divisiveness versus polarity. So, polarity, as we said, positive and negative both coexist within ourselves, within the universe. Yeah. That's just universal law.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we want to call that lightness, darkness, we have both. Both are good. Well, I don't mean to name it, don't mean to label it, but both are. They just are.
There you go.
There. But divisiveness, the divisiveness that we're going to speak about, at least today, is the experience, especially in the human realm, that's created by fear. So it's like an experience of judgment. So when, like I just slipped up and said, I said that good. It's like saying, like, light is good, the darkness is bad. There's good, there's evil. Well, when you zoom out from another perspective, 5 dimension and above, and you can see down, those experiences very close up on the human realm can very, very much so apparently be like that very uncomfortable, sticky, fearful based experience, but that's just one tiny little moment in all of time, in space of the third dimension. When you zoom out, though, and you see collectively how everything is working together, how can you truly discern that is good or bad, that time or that thing that happened was an awful thing, when you pull out and you look at the collective and the whole and what's happening, and you see from a place of neutrality that it just is, and it just is all happening, and there's so much more data and information and moving parts and other people and their processes and everything intermingling, you can see that together, individually and as a population, as a collective, we're evolving. And that's what's happening. We're all just evolving. So,
and that's not to negate the fact that there is like pain in that hardship, and that there's not like that there's still, even though it is all to help us evolved, it doesn't mean that it's going to come easy. And to us on this realm, we're supposed to feel the pain, and we're supposed to feel the happiness. And so those times where you're like, well, that really crappy thing happened to me, are you telling me that that's all for the greater good and all that jazz? It's like, no, that's really upsetting, and it's sad that happened. But at the same time, knowing if you can step out of that for a moment and step away from your situation and go bigger, that's what we're asking you to do. We're not trying to invalidate anybody's feelings or experiences.
Absolutely.
But we are trying to ask that maybe just for a moment, you step out of the judgment, step out of this reality for a second, and look at it from a neutral perspective where nothing is good or bad, and just experiences and just lessons.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And yeah, so my personal belief, and I know Sienna believes this too, is we believe that all is love.
Yeah.
And essentially love and fear, I say that they're not polarity. I believe that there is only love, and then there's an experience of lack of love.
Yeah.
And it's when we forget this truth that we experience, unknown or fear. And something that I really like to think about or remember is that we can experience divisiveness even within ourselves. So
definitely within ourselves. 100%.
Yeah. So like states of anxiety and depression, these are places that we know that we've lost our sense of center and our sense of knowing and balance. And when I say center, I'm pointing to, I have both my hands at my heart for people listening to the Spotify podcast. So yeah, I love to remember. I remember watching this this video a while back about brain scans of when people were feeling in an anxious or depressed state, that their brain activity went to the outer skirts of their left and right hemisphere. It was divided. And then when they meditated and came back to their parasympathetic nervous system, they actually had brain activity around the center. They were both communicating, the right and left hemisphere, through the corpus callosum, and they experienced a much more calm state.
So cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love when our science and this incredible human realm can show some of the magic of spirit.
Absolutely. Well, they are the same, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to get into it. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. No, I have to stop myself from going off on a tangent because we're trying to keep this semi-organized.
No, I mean, if whatever flows, go for it.
Yeah. No, that one's really far. That's about aliens. So.
So moving into, so you had asked this really awesome question when we had first done our go around of, so how do we, as we're experiencing a divisiveness in our population, in our country, and globally and collectively, how do we create a realm of division, and how do we come together in unity?
Yeah. And what's coming to me right now, which is really funny, I kind of did answer my question earlier in this just a little bit ago.
No, you kind of jumped in.
That's so funny. I was in the flow. It's to stop speaking about division. I don't believe that you should ignore the division. No. It's more about shifting your perception, shifting your lens, focusing. So, because right now there are places that people are extremely united and beautiful and doing amazing things for each other all the time. This is happening
on this planet and others.
Yes. We do have unity right now. But the thing is that people are focusing, they're taking their attention and putting it towards the divisiveness, because that's where all the drama and fear and everything is basing around. And
just us versus them mentality.
Yeah. And so that's what's causing us to not actually see the real nature of us humans, which is unity. Behind the smoke screens of all this drama, us versus them, there are people on the other side going, we just want to love each other. We just want to eat. We want to have shelter. We want to be able to be with our families. We want to be able to be there for each other. How can we be there for each other? But they're being screamed over by the drama. And so what I feel I will continue to do, and if you want to take this advice and it resonates with you, I would advise to walk through the smoke screen. Let's try to think of that metaphorically. Walk through it, ignore that stuff, and go to the other side that's already there, which is unity. And start talking about it. Start speaking about it, because our words are power, and I will repeat that a million times till it gets annoying, but it'll become your mantra, okay? So that's
so let's talk about and dive into a bit about unity consciousness a bit more, because
sure.
in our last podcast we had mentioned it a little bit, but specifically about bringing forth this idea of polarity as well. So unity consciousness is about honoring both the light and dark within ourselves and within others. And it's about honoring every person wherever they are in their process, in your own process. And remembering that it's consciousness and love, what Sienna was alluding to, is what binds us. And that each and every person has a unique experience. And through these perspectives, collectively, it creates the whole.
Yep.
I'm going to say that again because I really want to touch on that. Because, yeah, I have my own perspective. Sienna has her own perspective. Everyone that's listening to this right now and watching this has their own perspectives of the world, and that is such a beautiful thing. And we all carry a little bit of truth.
Yeah. And
she carries a little bit of truth, and he, they, them, everyone carries a little bit of truth, and honoring that you have that little bit of truth, and they have that little bit of truth, and your soul has its own unique path here and its own unique truth to share, and collectively together, that's unity consciousness.
And we are all, you were speaking about this, and I was actually imagining we're all little pieces of truth, right? The only way for us to get the whole truth is by combining together, which I know that's what you're getting at, but I wanted to speak it in a different way. It's like we all have a puzzle piece. We all have one puzzle piece to the entire answer. And the only way that we can get to the entire answer is by bringing our truths together.
Oh, it's gonna be like my puzzle piece is bigger than yours. But actually, that brings up another point too, where like, no matter how big or small, someone's footprint or like whatever, it exists and it has value.
Absolutely.
Each and every person has value.
Absolutely. So I can guarantee that somebody right now, because I thought of it, and I'm really proud to say, and I'm going to toot my own horn and have a humble pride moment.
Hold on. Humble pride. TM Senna.
We should get t-shirts. Oh, okay. Anyways, yes.
Yeah, when you want to stay humble, but you're really proud of yourself, own it. It's right. Okay.
That's right.
Of course, Aaliyah would think of that.
So, I'm really proud to say that I have a brain that sees both sides. And so she'll be talking about something, or I'll be talking about something, and sometimes you'll hear me pause because I'll get interrupted in my brain about the other perspective.
I love that.
And so I break into that. So anyways, when you were speaking, I can guarantee that somebody out there is like, well, I have this person in my life that there's no way that they hold any of this truth because they have so many problems with this, and I just could not, they're terrible people, could not believe that they would hold any truth about the universal consciousness, the unity consciousness. Well, that's not fully true either, because that's your bias kicking in, that's your fear and your own ego kicking in. Yes, thank you. And saying, I'm right. Everything that I'm saying is right. But what did we just say? What did Senna just say? She said, we all hold one little piece of truth.
I'm right.
I'm right. You're wrong. Neener. And you know what? Senna may be wrong. Who knows? But I'm just letting you know that you are heard, you are seen. I know that this may be triggering to hear because you have some karmic issues that is hitting you hard right now when hearing that. And if one person in particular or a group of people are kicking up in your brain when you're hearing that we all hold a little truth, dive into that. Really dive into that. Write down those people. Write down what is it about them that you don't like, that you think they're wrong about, and everything like that. And really look at it. After you write it down, just look back at it for a moment.
Look back at it. Look back at it.
and be like, okay. And ask yourself, do I choose to hold on to that grudge of that person? Or do I choose to let go of it because it does not serve me and move on in life? Because they may hold the truth, but that doesn't mean you need them in your life to hold the truth.
Yeah.
They may just not be your little puzzle piece clicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. They may not mesh with your puzzle piece, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, something that popped into my head kind of earlier today, a little bit based off of what you're talking about, of like, it is great to have people that you don't agree with around, but it's also so great to have people around you that you do agree with, and that you can really explore and dive into and be acknowledged, but also like your ideas and values and your opinions and what you can see for the world expanded. Like, and that's a part of your own growth too. And so having those people, like, you are that person for me, like, being able to share things that I learn and things that I see in the world, of my observations or my theories or whatever. I love I have a conducive environment to be able to explore that with.
Yeah. I agree. So, you're the same for me.
Oh.
Yes.
So what an excellent segue. So one little thing here too is just kind of wrapping that up and then segueing into tangible experiences and how to find balance within and with others. What I'm trying to say is, so yes, we can coexist, live with others with differing perspectives, opinions, and processes. That's another thing. And we talked about this briefly in our first podcast, is, again, everyone.
She says that begrudgingly. See, we're human too.
Is in their own process.
Breathe that in for a moment.
Thanks. Yeah. And they are exactly where they need to be. Yeah. And this is one of my lessons, is not judging where someone else is at.
Which is difficult.
It can be very difficult.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's also okay because we're not perfect, for you to quote unquote slip up and judge them and do whatever, because that's part of your lesson on this earth.
It is. I've been finding more and more that as these judgments come up, I'm so glad that you brought up that exercise. That's a really great exercise.
Yeah.
Because as these judgments come up, I've been finding more and more within myself that either I don't love within myself, or there's just a space that that I need to claim back my power, because I'm either giving it over to them, or as a psychic empath and a really strong connection, I can pick up on others' insecurities and kind of take them on as my own. And I have this new mantra. I can't swear.
Yep, you can do it.
I am effing beautiful. I am effing powerful. I am effing amazing. I don't care who I used to be. I am a newbie.
That's cute.
Newbie. I can't say the other word.
Yeah.
I am a new goddess. I am a queen.
That's right.
Oh, no, I missed my favorite part.
Yeah.
I don't care who I used to be. She dead and gone. That bee is dead. Bye-bye. I did it!
Yay!
Okay.
By the way, we are quoting somebody, and we'll leave that in the description below because he is amazing.
Yeah, he did an awesome, very beautiful Leo tarot reading.
Yeah. Oh well, all readings. Yeah.
All readings for all signs.
I'll post
just
it.
Checking out that one.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So, yes, I love that you were getting into some really tangible exercises for being able to handle when we experience that divisiveness or that judgment or that perpetuated fear of us versus them mentality. So yeah, I mean, specifically, like if we want to use the example of the election and the divisiveness in America right now, I mean, this is everywhere. We're seeing this everywhere. And even in my own family, we had a blowout. I tried to play peacemaker, but it
wasn't your place.
It wasn't my place, and it's okay. So we didn't meet for Thanksgiving.
Because there were some lessons that they needed to learn in that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and part of that experience and other experiences that I've gotten to have, we can talk a little bit about when you're having maybe conversations either about this particular topic about country's leadership or other us versus them perspectives. Here's some ideas, and we're gonna dive into a little bit of how to come from a more centered perspective, one with more self-awareness, as you are going into having conversations with others. And ultimately, all of this is about finding and keeping within your center of when I say center, not being swayed into, again, that fear state or judgment state. And keeping that balance, because within, so without.
Yes.
So yeah, you let's just say this, you're going to have a much more productive conversation when you really know yourself, and you also know how to respond in a grounded and compassionate way. And then this is an evolution thing.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah.
You got growing pains for this one.
But definitely, as you're having conversations with someone, listening to yourself, listen to your emotions. Yeah. If you're triggered, honor those feelings that are coming up for you. And yeah, listen to those, or heal what's take some time to like really dig into like what's behind this, why you're being triggered, what's happening here. And if it's something you're maybe heated in the middle of a conversation, if it's something that you notice within, you can name it.
Yep.
Naming something,
you should name it.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that like this year, one of the greatest like tools of my self-awareness and communicating my boundaries with others or just my internal world with others has been naming it.
Yeah.
Name it, and just to say I need to name that I feel, either triggered or offended, or you crossed a boundary, or if someone is being offensive or something. And and then check in with yourself. Like, what do you need? Do you need some space for a moment? Do you need to pause a conversation, go outside, take a breath? Or is it just naming it that's going to help shift that energy? Yeah. And, maybe the other person can receive you, and you can tone down a little bit, and,
Sometimes you can be received and then ask if you can verbal process with them. If you have a safe enough space with that person. Like, these triggers don't just happen with strangers, guys. They don't happen with the family astray. Like her and I, we've had boundary setting, like trigger conversations that we've both haven't had with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I have them with my fiance. I have them with people that I truly love and feel safe around.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to speak out that when you present your trigger to someone, try hard not to attack them with that. Come from, first off, maybe take a deep breath before you say it, right? Get yourself grounded, because there is a tendency that I've noticed, there's a pattern going on, that when you feel a trigger, you want to attack the person that triggered you. But as we're about to speak about, triggering is actually a good thing, because it's waking up something that needs to get out of your body anyways, and be noticed. So that person just kind of did you a favor. Now, does that mean like if they're pushing boundaries or being inappropriate with you that you don't set your boundaries? No. That's actually just, it's better to come from a calmer still point of view. That's why she said, like, if you can't be calm talking about it, then maybe taking a step outside or saying, I can't talk about this right now, that's enough.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love, you shared this about a conversation that you had with your fiance the other day, where you named, I am triggered right now, but I want you to know it's not your fault. Yeah. It's not, and everything's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. It makes such a difference, especially when you're triggered by somebody that you're going to see almost every day or every day, because that poor person, when they see you hurt and they really care and love you, when they see you hurt or triggered or something's off and you don't express to them that that's not their fault or whatever, there is a tendency to be like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Why aren't they talking to me? What's going on? And then they go into their own insecurities, which we all have. I know I've been there before. And instead of it being this amazingly constructive conversation, it becomes this like you having to constantly reassure, like it takes it off the main topic. You have to keep reassuring your partner or your friend that no, it's not, like it's fine, but not actually telling them it's not their fault. It doesn't help anything, you know? It just makes, instead of being like, so some people have the tendency to go, it's fine, it's okay, I'm okay, it's fine, instead of naming their trigger.
Yeah, I've definitely done that.
Yeah, and I think I've done that when I've been in really pissed off modes.
Yeah.
When I'm really up there. But even then, be like, hey, I'm really angry right now, and it's because something's been really triggered to me, so I can't talk about this.
Yeah.
And then maybe when you're in a calm state of mood, discuss deeper. I also do that now. Like, once I've calmed down, I'm like, this is something I'd like to practice more with you.
Yeah.
If I'm too angry to talk about it and I say I can't talk about it right now, it's nothing on you, and I need you to drop it.
Yeah.
Because I've had the tendency that my fiance has not dropped it, even when I've spoken that. And then you blow up. You say things you don't mean, and out of anger. So anyways, I've gotten off on a tangent, but yes.
You know, and then I'm really glad that you also named that, like, when, not attacking, because just because, oh, this doesn't feel good, it's your fault. Actually, there's something within you that you need to check. Check yourself.
Check yourself or you wreck yourself.
But I mean, like, if you're able to express what's going on internally, like, oh, I'm experiencing so much anger right now, or so much hurt, you know, for some reason, because of that perspective, or because you believe such and such, like, there's something there, like,
why is that? Where'd that come from? Where's the foundation of that? What's the bias? Did someone in my past do something to me that caused that? Whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes you won't find the answer.
Yeah.
And at that point, then you need to ask the question to yourself, is this a trigger that I want to carry on? Or is this something that I want to heal even if I don't know where it came from?
Yeah. And one other thing for just the big movements that we've had of like, just, yeah, again, reiterating, being triggered is good.
Yeah.
It's good. And it's a great way to also see where boundaries are crossed. And so we have a huge upheaval of social injustice and gay rights, equality, and like there's so much that is being proactive right now, because yes, this is a time to reclaim spirit, reclaim like what has been oppressed. And I want to name that it's totally possible to have righteous rage.
Ooh, yes.
Righteous rage. Like yes, that is a powerful force and action of and when you're channeling it in the way to make proactive change, you can absolutely do that. But this can be done without perpetuating hate. And most importantly, this can be done without doing this for being above another at another person's expense or another group's expense.
Yeah.
And this whole thing of like whether or not we have a leader, even of find your center, Senna. Find your center.
Breathe. Remember, breathe.
Yeah, at another person's expense. Like, we can come from a place of wanting there just to be right by all.
And
not everyone's going to agree with that.
No, that's true. And there are productive ways to let out your rage. I would just like to throw out a couple ideas for people. I didn't really know and understand that I was suppressing that side of me until this year. And once I started opening myself up to the idea of letting out my anger, letting out my uncomfortable feelings in an actionable way, is when I started, of course, attracting these ideas. So I'm picking from other people. But screaming's one of them.
Love screaming.
Yeah.
I scream in my car all the time.
Yeah. Oh, it feels good. When you get that deep, you just let it out. Oh!
I like to growl.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
My kid and I do that.
It's so cute.
Kids feel this stuff too, you know?
But yes. I would like to know, if you're seeing your kid feel the same things you're feeling, first off, you're probably mirroring and they can feel your energy. But second off, they've got their own experiences with what's going on as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But what I was going to say was going and shaking it out, dancing really hard, punching bag. Literally, it is fine. So my fiance has a weird thing about this where he's like, but I'm hitting something when I'm angry. I'm like, yeah, but you're not hitting a person when you're angry. You know not to do that. Just go hit a punching bag or punch a pillow or do something to let out that energy. It's an energy exchange.
Yes.
And if you don't let it out in that manner, then it's going to come out on either yourself or on the close people around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
In mean ways.
Yeah. Internalizing that
that's true too.
Very damaging.
Toxic. Really.
Yeah. I mean, spirit is the program of the body. These things that you trap within yourself, this can perpetuate to mental health, your physical health. That's a whole other topic. We'll get there someday. But especially with my child and I, we like to growl. I scare him sometimes. So I have my big growls when I'm alone. And then we like to play sword fight and beat the couch. These pillows are super fluffed from beating them with. We have our swords or sticks and then I don't own a gun at this time. I mean, I kind of like guns. They're really fun to shoot. But I got into archery this year, and I really liked to shoot things. But
it's an energy release. I don't know if you've ever shot archery before or anything like that, but if you have, you get it. There is an energy exchange that is happening, and it is perfectly fine. And exercise, that's another go-to that everybody forgets about, that exercise produces endorphins and makes you feel all good, and it also allows you to let out your fight or flight mode mindset, which is really where a lot of this anger built up stuff comes from, is this fight or flight mode that we're in. And when you're in that mindset, you go back to caveman brain, which is run from danger. So you need that exercise or that punch, which is all exercise if you think about it. Dancing, screaming, punching, all these things are moving our bodies. That makes our brain go, oh, okay, we've ran away from the danger, we can come back, we're good now. So
yeah, and then I was also gonna say that music, like,
yes,
if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling mad, if you're feeling angry, there's a genre for that.
Yeah, there's a song for that.
There's an artist for that.
Yep.
Totally. I have some incredible playlists. I love making playlists.
Humble brag.
Humble brag. I have a FS up playlist.
Nice. Nice.
Up playlist.
Your effort is beautiful.
Thank you. I'm trying so hard.
You do
so we don't have to edit. Yeah, and then I have a slow it down playlist, and I have one for every mood. Anyway, so love that tangent. Again, some excellent, tangible, 3D things that we can experience as humans with letting and moving this energy through. Yeah, so back on talking, if when you're in a conversation or you're seeking out hearing from other people's perspectives, which is what this is all about, hearing other people's perspectives, not only broadening yours.
Rewind that and hear that one more time.
I wish I could just say it backwards.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be so creepy too. Yeah, this is about asking and hearing from a genuine, active listening, heartful, centered place without attachment.
Yes.
Of hearing from someone else's perspective, which can be very hard.
Yeah.
But
grace.
Yeah, I think about a week before the election or two, I had my first like really, really, really great like 2-hour debate with some extended family, and it was such a great conversation. Like I was really proud of how I came into it, just like so detached, just already knowing that like all of us have a very unique experience with very unique experiences in life, and the algorithms of what our soul has and experiences, and also our like device and social media and cable television like algorithm is of like what programs you've seen, what programming too of just like what people have seen and are embedded in within their experience as humans. And so when you approach someone, you have no idea where they're coming from and what that perspective is unless you really genuinely come from a place of wanting to understand the other. Yes. And what's interesting, for some of this coming through, it might actually make someone uncomfortable. But it might be, for some reason, I don't know why I'm thinking about this. This wasn't in my notes.
It may make them uncomfortable to be genuinely
wanting to be understood.
I can see that.
And, I mean, yeah.
Because it's so
rare.
Yeah.
But what is so beautiful about that, and if you're able to have a heart-centered place where you're able to connect and see and hear another person's experience and yeah, not only are you helping to like decharge those us versus them and them as well, but also for yourself. And in a way, if you come and you show in a balanced state this level of maturity, emotional intelligence, you can be teaching them some incredible skills too. And also, again, deactivating kind of that us versus them. So the them, to them.
Yeah. Say that one more time.
So scary.
Us versus them.
No, yeah, us versus them. They think it doesn't matter. Okay.
So yeah,
anyway, do you want to talk about kind of the foundation experience of like asking about someone's foundation and morale?
Yeah, so I've been touching base on it through this whole program a little bit, but I haven't really gone full deep into it. And again, if you actually want to know more about it, you should look it up. I say again because that's what I said last time. That's funny. But bias foundation theory, super interesting. I had a conversation with my fiance about this, and I have two sides of the story now, which is super fun. So bias foundation theory, when I first saw it, I thought super cool. And I'm a person, naturally, I'm an optimist. I always see the bright side of things. And so sometimes it's hard for me to see the other side. And what I perceived it as, and what the theory is that we come from, all of us, every single one of us, come from a different perspective and different foundations through either being raised a certain way by our parents or not raised a certain way by our parents, or experience it in your own peers, adulthood, anything like that. We all have a different experience. And you say, oh, there's millions of people. No, every single one of us have a different experience, even if it's just by a tiny bit. That's so important to know, because especially when it comes to politics and it comes to religion and everything like that, then we can go, if we study ourselves and get really into what our core foundations are for ourselves, then when we come into a conversation and somebody else triggers us or says something that we don't believe in and everything, we can then kind of have that outside perspective look and say, interesting, well, I know that I'm coming from this foundation, and by the sounds of it, they're coming from this foundation, and that's why we're not agreeing. So I thought that was beautiful, because then you can go into a conversation and not get triggered or angry at that person because they have a different perspective. You just then get curious and you're like, so why do you have that perspective? Where did that come from? Where did you learn that? I would love to know. And then maybe I can talk to you about where my perspective comes from. And it just opens it up and makes people feel less attacked. It may be a little uncomfortable because they're not used to people actually being sincere when they speak about that. And grounds everything. It grounds everything. So the other perspective.
Can I tack on real quick?
Sure, go for it.
So yeah, part of that foundation is also like you're tapping into figuring out what someone's morals and values are.
Yeah.
And that's a centered space where we can understand, like a heart-centered space, where we can really connect. And knowing that someone might have a similar, maybe differing value, but you can better empathize with that and see where they're coming from. Keep going. So the other perspective.
Good call. Yes. So I was speaking to my fiance about that, and he brought the other side of this theory, which to him, he said, well, in a perfect world, that sounds really nice. But if you're not careful, that can sound like you're like trying to be better, like bettering the other person. Like, well, you're obviously on this perspective of the bias foundation theory, and I'm on this perspective. So you're assuming, like, he was like, the worry would be is that somebody would come in and be too much assuming the other person's opinion or the other person's morals and biases when stepping into the conversation.
I mean, what if you ask directly? Like, what are your morals and what are your values?
Well, and that's what I wanted to clarify, because I came from it from like, everybody's kind. They never would think things like that. Whereas like, you do have to make sure that when you come into the conversation, you're not assuming anything. Because once we learn something new, at least when I learn something new, I get really excited about it. And it's a tendency of mine to then start explaining. My fiance calls it momsplaining, just because mansplaining. Anyways, so I get explaining, and then I get out of the mode of like, this is my experience, this is what I've learned, and I get into the mode of, this is just the facts. And that may not be the facts. Like, none of bias, moral, all this heart stuff, it's not factual stuff. That's like a feeling. Feeling's more fluidity. It's not rigid. So just to be careful of that, I guess, and it did open my eyes to that. So if I do have a conversation with somebody, I want to make sure that I come into the conversation with knowing where I'm coming from, but never assuming where they're coming from. Even,
that's a good point.
Yeah, because it's hard not to, because that's our defense mechanism. That's the way that we defend ourselves when we go into a place. That's like our extra layer shield to be like, oh, well, I already know what to expect. So if I know what to expect, then they can't hurt me. But that's kind of like canceling out the whole point, And I speak that for myself as well, that it's important to only speak for myself and not for somebody else, and to truly come into it as grounded and open and asking lots and lots and lots of open-ended questions if you truly want to listen, and then actually listen. Yeah. Close your mouth and listen. There you go. Yeah. That's the other perspective.
Yeah. And then also sharing yours as well.
Of course. Yeah.
If that freedom is there, to have that. There was another thing that I was gonna say. I'm full of freedom at the moment.
There you go.
Yeah, and then did you want to share at all about the tangible experience that your sister had? Or that actually reminds me, and if you want to segue into it, feel free. But yeah, and then through all of this, through the conversation or with this other person, knowing and remembering the light that you see in them, like who you know them as a person and how they've shown up for you, friend, family, or other. And yeah, just
remembering the love.
Yeah, that's what's going to connect us at the end of the day.
Yeah, I loved your example, because you came from family, and it reminded me of my family, and my family is really weird.
Yeah.
Comparably to other families, we get along really, really, really well. And we hang out and talk about politics and talk about religion and crazy out there stuff. And we don't agree, but we can still come to the conversation and be passionate about our perceptions of the conversation and come out of it still loving each other and still having a good day.
Yeah.
It may have had a heated conversation, but the thing is that I learned something new about my dad, or I learned something new about my brother. Do I agree with them? Is that the experience I'm experiencing? No. But I think it's really interesting that they're experiencing that right now. So that's what it reminded me of when you were talking about that. And segueing that, my sister, because, you know, she comes from our family, she has this awesome thing as well. She had an experience through the political stuff, where her group of friends, which is about like 5 friends, split almost down the middle. And so it's 6 of them, right? And they were almost down the middle with this politics stuff, which is really interesting because they used to all be on the same side, quote unquote, the same perception. And then something shifted, and then like it split, and it became this heat between all of them. And my sister was broken from it, you know, because she loves them all so deeply. That's her sisterhood, that's her group. And it was really, really hard on her because for the people that believed in the other side, she was like, well, I don't believe that. And it's really, really hard for me to hear you talk about that. And they were Trump supporters, and she just did not get it, especially because they weren't before. So it got really confusing for her. And her initial reaction from outside perspective and not actually asking them any questions was, my friends have gone crazy, and I don't know if I can actually be friends with them anymore. And that broke her heart because she absolutely loves them. And so she took a little time to go through that process, but then she realized there's no way that she can like give up this friendship. And she saw how hateful her other friends were being to them. And she's like, I don't want to be that either.
Yeah.
I don't want to just shame them and assume that they're believing these things that everybody else in the general population is believing.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I'm just going to ask them questions. I'm going to talk to them about it. And that was really brave, I feel, because that's a vulnerability. It's like, could have gone south, but instead it became this amazingly connecting experience with her and her friends, where they first off said thank you and felt heard and felt appreciated and loved, because just because that first step of saying, I'd like to hear why. And that's all it took. And once they were able to speak, and then she asked questions, and they kind of went back and forth, and it was a pretty long conversation. And she just continued. And my sister, bless her heart, she's just an open heart. She's beautiful. So, and she's got psychology degree, so I'm sure that really helps. But
thinking of the prefrontal cortex, just like on steroids. Just,
yeah,
I got this. I can handle this.
It's beautiful. So, her friends just went and told her everything, and she came out of it and talked to me about it because she verbal processed all this with me. And she came out of it and talked to me about it, and she said, I don't agree with majority of what they're saying, but I can sympathize with where they're coming from on why they're choosing to be a Trump supporter. She can sympathize so she can put herself in their shoes and see why, from their perspective, from their life experiences, that they are now going to vote for Trump. Now she can put herself back in her own shoes, her own life experience, and go, but I will not be, because that doesn't fit with my life. And we still can all be friends. You know, that's such a great example of where we could be going with things. She chose the love, she understood, you know, she just recently said something else recently. Once we had the election, she noticed that it was almost 50-50. And she's told me, she's like, there is no way that half of the population of America are hateful, racist people. There's just no way. So that means there's something else. There's something else they're seeing, and for us to assume, for any of us to assume that the other side is the general confusion, hate, big, no, they're not. They're not. That's you just assuming the mass fear that we're being.
That's the judgment.
Yeah, the judgment. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like getting heated on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you knew that. That is.
Yeah. Yeah, my sister's pretty great. You should just interview her on here. She just.
Which we should say that we are going to interview people.
Yes.
Of the community, and
we haven't gotten our first one yet, but we will.
I know someone.
You know someone.
Yeah.
Well, we know tons of people.
Yeah.
We know tons of people because we're so great. But yes, it will be coming soon. It's just when the timing feels right, really. Yeah. So just be patient and enjoy our awesome voices for now.
Yeah. So I just want to touch and just reflect that I absolutely resonate and love the part that not assuming the other's perspective and like you have your potential own judgments of Trump versus Biden and other people that had run, but based on why they chose to vote, making that judgment of you believe in hate, or you believe in whatever, all the crazy illusions and stuff and media programs are out there. Oh my gosh,
gives me anxiety just even.
Just breathe. Whenever you feel this way, just breathe.
Ground yourself back.
Oh, I wonder if the mic can hear my stomach grumbling.
Mine too.
we should do some food. So I hope that this was enlightening, was an interesting perspective, and I guess I kind of want to end with a little bit of affirmations of how what we're saying, don't talk about divisiveness, but instead I live in a country where together we can create something really beautiful. We can create a united country. And this whole conversation truly kind of came up around, after the election happened, you still have half of the country that, may be living in fear, gripped with fear, because their person that they wanted didn't win. And they're maybe terrified about what this is going to turn into, and the other might be fearing too about the other side. It's just it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with me.
Yep.
One by one, as we can hone in, coming from a place of self-awareness and love, and compassion and genuine interest for other people's perspectives and what they want to see in the world come to fruition too, and not assuming what you think that they want, coming from that heart-centered place, we can create a world in that way. And that is the reality in which I believe in, and that is what I know is possible. And I choose to manifest and embody and hold this frequency and light and reality, so that there's another option.
I'd like to take a moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to throw this at you. To sit for like a minute together. Because when we as individuals set the intention and we do it together, even individually, even in different times, power can happen. So for a moment, I want you to close your eyes, hold whatever part of your body wants to be held, or don't hold whatever part of your body wants to be held. Just open your arms. Take a deep breath. I want you to imagine unity. What does that look like to you? What does connection on a deep, loving level look to you? Breathe that in. Feel the feeling that comes up in your body. Even if it's resistance, look into that. Go deeper into that. And know, no matter where you are, what your perception is, it is divinely perfect. Your viewpoint is divinely perfect. And together, where we sit or stand, we are making vast movements towards unity. It will come in the timing it's meant to come. We cannot rush it. So be patient and give yourself grace, my love.
Your healing is my healing, is the earth's healing. Your love is my love, is the earth's love. We are one. We are love. I honor the light and darkness within myself, and I honor the light and darkness within you.
And so it is.
And so it is.
If you've stuck around this hour and 20 minutes, I really appreciate you sticking around that long and sitting there with us on that meditation. That was random, and
I asked you before.
I know!
I was like, are you going to surprise me with the meditation or a prayer? And you're like, no.
I wasn't in the mood yet. So if you've made it this long, thank you, and you were meant to be part of that. And if you know anybody that is popping up in your head while you're listening to all this,
send them love.
First off, send them love, absolutely. But second off, send them this podcast and this YouTube. Second off, yeah.
Share this.
Please. Yeah. The more people that are in this mindset, the stronger our unity will become. There you go. You gonna hit that bowl, my girl?
This is not the only bowl I'm hitting tonight.
Oh, damn. We got this. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you next month.
Yeah, maybe. With 3 eclipses this month. We'll see.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody.
Catch you on the flip side.